You got some cities that are next to the shore and some are much higher. But today we want to look at the highest city in the world. A city that's so high in elevation that they call it the closest town to space. A city that has an elevation of 5,100 meters. La Rinconada in Peru. La Rinconada is a Spanish word that means the corner, but I'm not sure why they'd call this town the corner. As you know, the country Peru is located on the western part of South America, and the Andes mountain range runs through it, the same mountain range that separates Chile from Argentina. And La Rinconada is basically in the middle of this mountain range. You might say this is nothing weird, but you have to know that the town itself is 5,100 meters above sea level, a place that has 50% less oxygen than sea level. So if you walk into this town and you're not used to this type of oxygen level, you will pass out very easily. It's kind of like going mountain climbing. Not everyone can do it. Like for example, if you live near the Persian Gulf and then all of a sudden go to the capital city of Iran, Tehran, which is more than 1,000 meters above sea level, it's not very easy to breathe. But this is only 1,000 meters. You can't even compare it to La Rinconada because it is the completely different world. Scientists believe the people that grow up in La Rinconada have more red blood cells in their system than a normal person. And this allows them to survive with less oxygen without a problem. Nobody can just easily go to this place to start researching or be a tourist because you will collapse from a lack of oxygen. You have to go with a tour guide. And of course, you have to have oxygen with you in a form of tank. Your blood oxygen level is extremely important. And when it goes below 90%, that's when you're in big trouble and you have to get it back or you will pass out. So anyone that goes there must check their blood oxygen levels constantly and have plenty of oxygen available. Even some people that go visit or research in this place, they sleep with the oxygen tank at night just in case they don't pass out from a lack of oxygen and potentially die. So it's important for you to do that if you're just visiting. You might not believe it, but in this tiny town of La Rinconada, there's such little oxygen that you don't even find trees. You can't even find grasslands or any plant, let alone a tree. That's how dead this environment is. You might say, what the heck is wrong with them for them to build a town so up high into the sky that's so far away from any other civilization? But you have to know the reason La Rinconada was built was for one reason. Gold. In this extremely high elevation, there is a lot of gold mines, and every single person that lives here works in the mine shafts one way or another. Even though you mine gold in this location, but the entire area and the people living in it live in extreme poverty. The people that run this filthy mine do not even want to give these guys a better life. It's so unorganized, it's so buried into poverty that it's not even safe to go anywhere. There's a lot of gang members and criminals that basically make the entire area unsafe, especially at night. La Rinconada doesn't have a sewer system. No water goes in and out. It doesn't have proper electricity. And worst of all, there is nothing that takes your sewer system or your garbage. So everywhere you go, there is sewage and garbage laying around. It gets so bad in some locations that you have to walk over the trash that has been laying there for years. When you come to this town from afar, you could literally see the garbage, and sometimes you can even smell it before you see it. The people that visit La Rinconada, they say this was the worst time in their life. It is extremely hard to breathe the whole time. And whenever you even take a breath, you smell something horrible. You basically smell all the sewage of the 30,000 people living here and all the trash that has piled up over the years without being picked up. So sometimes you can breathe, but you prefer not to because how bad it smells. This hellhole gets even worse when you get close to the mine shaft. You have to enter a mine tunnel and you have to breathe in this claustrophobic environment which makes breathing even harder. Just imagine what these miners feel like when they're down there. But it can't be too bad because they're used to it by now, and they've been doing this for years without suffering. At least it seems like it. The people that work in La Rinconada have a nickname for this town. They call it Paraíso del Diablo, which basically means the devil's paradise. Even though this town is extremely unsafe, but when you get close to the mine shaft where you enter and leave, there is a whole lot of guards that are pretty much army members that have been put here by the owners. And there's literally signs that you cannot enter or exit this mine shaft without approval, or you will be shot. And the worst part is there's a military that protects this mine, but the town next to it, everything is illegal and there's a whole lot of criminals making the entire area unsafe. Most of the people that live in La Rinconada are native Peruvians, and many of them have their own type of religion. Like they believe that women should not work in the mine. If they see a woman go inside the mine shaft, they won't allow that to happen because they believe that women will make the mountain have an earthquake if they get inside there. But it's insane because they allow children to work in these mines, but not women. You might not believe it, but each month 1 to 2 people die in these mines. And it's not like the mine owners care or the government of Peru is gonna do anything about it. The mine owners basically pay $600 to the families, and that's it. They'll never hear from them ever again. This truly shows why the employees of these mines give it this nickname of the devil's paradise, because it truly is like it. You might not believe it, but this town has probably one of the lowest average lifespans of any town in the world, because it's only 35 years old. That means if you're a 40-year-old in La Rinconada, you're one of the lucky ones to survive this long. But why do they die so soon? In the beginning of the video, we mentioned that the people that live here or grew up here have a lot more red blood cells in their system. This allows them to live easier with less oxygen, but it backfires in some other places. Too much blood can lead to blood clots, and that means you can have heart attacks and strokes because of it. This is just one of the reasons that allows the lifespan to be low. The gold mine has a weird processing department that basically destroys the environment in that area. The processing they use cyanide and mercury to purify the gold they just mined, and they dump all that toxic material into the ground below them. This enters the underground water, the water that people drink, and it makes the soil more toxic. So if you're breathing all that air, you're drinking any water, you're basically drinking toxic materials. But compare this to all the criminal activities. They're nothing, because the criminal activities take the cake. This tiny town with more than 30,000 population has a small police station that has 10 officers and 2 trucks as police cars. Until 2001, La Rinconada wasn't popping like this. But after 2001, when the gold prices started to skyrocket, a whole lot of other people from other parts of Peru started to move out here to make more money for their families. Peru is an extremely poor country, and even though working here is extremely hard, but if a Peruvian is able to come up here and start working, they can make more money than they do down there. And that is one of the reasons some of the people that work in these mine shafts in La Rinconada have children in universities, but they're not able to pay for it if they have regular jobs. So they risk their lives, come up here and work to pay for their child's tuition. Of course, only the father can do this because they can't send the mother up. She will cause an earthquake. Even though you're 5 kilometers up and there's snow here, but the weather is extremely dry and it's always cold. In the middle of the summer, it doesn't get hotter than 10 degrees Celsius. In the winter, it doesn't get too cold, but it's always around this temperature, minus 12 degrees Celsius. But even in the summer times, there is ice on the ground. But just like we said, worst of all, the climate is extremely dry. So when you're breathing, it kind of feels like you're breathing in a desert, but you're in an extremely cold environment, which doesn't make sense. And this makes breathing At 50% oxygen, even more difficult. It's truly sad that native Peruvians are mostly the ones that work up here in these horrific conditions. Please let us know why in the countries of the Americas, the natives have worse lives. In the US, they're not treated very well. In Mexico, they are not treated well. Even when you come to South America like Peru, they work in conditions like this. Please leave a comment on what you think.